Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the channel. It is New Year's Day 2025, and man, kind of woke up to a tragedy. Thoughts and prayers to those folks down in New Orleans where some dumbass in a truck comes barreling through the barriers in the French Quarters and kills at least 10 people, wounds a bunch of people, you know, gets in a shootout with the police officer. So death by cop. And then it's sad. It's sad that people think that that is going to accomplish something. I mean, yeah, it's an act of terror, so it did accomplish terror, but it's sad that people that's going on. It's just humankind, unfortunately. It's always been like that, and there's always going to be people like that. So one of the best things we can do is just tone down the rhetoric, man. Tone down the rhetoric. Definitely have your opinions about things, but just voice them in a more mild manner. Just be mindful of what you're saying. It's a free country, man. We definitely need freedom of speech, and we need to be able to address our grievances, but we need to do it in a, in a tasteful fashion, so to speak. But we're going fishing today. 2024 was a phenomenal year. We had a lot of great success tournament fishing and a lot of good days on the water, a lot of great conversations with people. In 2025, I only hope will be some more of the same. We have got tough conditions out here. It's like 34 degrees. It's overcast. We had front push through yesterday. The wind is blowing. These are the days where it's like tough to go fishing, but we got a colder air coming. I mean, there's going to be potential winter storm coming here in a couple days, and we're gonna have a lot of those days where it's not going to get above freezing. You know, we're seeing like teens, actually single digits and teens for the lows, and highs, you know, in the 20s. So this is going to be the last day that I'm going to be able to fish for a little while. I don't know how long, but we got to get out here and take advantage of it. And we got the fencer today. She's a little bit nervous, but we got her sweater. She's gonna be fine. She's gonna be fine. I got a little blanket. I think she'll be okay. We'll get out there. We'll try to get out of the wind a little bit. Man, the lake's up. I'm sitting here looking at it. It is, it's up 1.5 foot maybe. We've had a lot of rain over the last week, and it's sitting here looking at the creek. It's, I don't want to say it's chocolate milk, but it's definitely Nesquik. It's got some pretty heavy stain. I'm sure as we get out in the lake, it's going to become more clear, but I don't see it being clear, and things have changed. This happens every year, every other year. We get those early winter, well, we're about in the middle of winter, but we get those winter rains, and the water's so cold that the sediment kind of suspends in the water for a while. So a lot of times when this happens, you're going to have a pretty good stain for the rest of the winter, unfortunately, because cold, dirty, muddy water is probably the toughest conditions to catch fish. You want clear water. So that's part of the strategy today, is just to go find some cleaner water. I do have a big spinnerbait tied on because it's something that I've had success with in the past, usually a little further into the winter as we're getting closer to spring. But I have caught them when the water's like 41, 42 degrees, and I think the water's going to be mid 40s today. So we're going to throw that around in a little bit stained water, but we're not gonna die by it. We may, if that's not happening, we'll give it an hour. If that's not happening, we're gonna pivot and go try to find some clear water, and you know, probably end up targeting some suspended fish, because that's what the fish do a lot this time of the year. In the winter and cold water period, they have a tendency to suspend a little bit. So we'll have to pick up that jerkbait, and I'm gonna throw a jig around a little bit and a shaky head. Still gonna look for that bite, and we're just gonna kind of mix it up. We don't have a lot of time. It gets dark so early, so I'm gonna dump this boat in the water. Man, I'm the only person here. Not a surprise. Happens a lot in the winter. A lot of people hunt, and not a lot of people fish. And then when you get these days where it's like 34, overcast and breezy, you don't see a lot of people out there. So wear your life jacket. ate it too. All right, there. Caught us one. 44-degree water. The old Thunder Thumper spinnerbait. You got it, man. I missed one earlier. It was about close to a 4-pounder. And there you go, 44-degree water. And that fish just smoked it. The fish was up there in about 2 or 3 feet. I can kind of see, I'm fishing this to where I can kind of see it. I'm just slow rolling around this grass. And this is a 3/4 ounce Dream Express Lures. It's a JDM bait. My buddy June Shoji made this for me. It's got a size 7. It's got size 7 brass Colorado blade on there. And this is a Berkeley grass pig. Just, you don't want to swim bait with too much action. I mean, that's actually got a little bit of action to it because it's been out in the sun over the summertime. But a little bit stiffer spinner, or a little bit stiffer swim bait seems to draw more bites. And this is, you know, this is not a numbers pattern. You know, you're going after a lot of times you're catching some bigger fish, but you're just, it's just a different way to fish it. You know, fish cold water besides a jerkbait. And you got to have some pretty good stain. This is the right kind of conditions, and I think we're going to stay with this for a little bit. Like my 3rd cast, I had that pretty good sized fish roll up on it. I saw it and I missed him. I pulled it out of his mouth. I was a little bit excited. I've had one other bite, and then we just hooked up with that one. But white chartreuse, and we'll just keep on moving around, see if we can scrape up another one. Whew, I needed that. I was starting to get a little bit cold. It's amazing how you catch one fish and it just kind of warms you up. Nose is running, but life is good. Damn. That's a good bite. I mean, that fish just stopped. I don't know how I missed him. Oh. There we go. Hey, we're making a lot of casts, but we're catching one every now and then. I was actually burning that over the top of that grass in 2 foot of water. Sucker came up and smashed it. It's crazy. I mean, you just never know. You never know how these fish are going to respond to something. I was bouncing around trying a little bit of everything. I went back in some really dirty water and did not get a sniff back there. So it seems to me the best, you know, water clarity is like right here. It's about 2 foot of visibility maybe. It's got pretty good stain. It's not muddy, but it does have a pretty good stain. And you know, most of these fish that I've been catching have been relating to riprap or these little secondary points like this. If you get some riprap around these points, that's even better, and you got to have some grass mixed in there too. So it's a combination of a little bit of everything. Not necessarily near deep water. I mean, right now we're near deep water, but a little bit earlier it didn't have to be near deep water. I think they're just holding next to this rock and a little bit shallower water because it's just a little bit warmer. I mean, we've got 45.30 on the Garmin and 47 on the Lowrance. So between 45 and 47 degrees basically, which is a lot colder than, you know, most people throw a spinnerbait, myself included. And if we didn't have this really stained water, I wouldn't be doing this because this is more like a rig jerkbait, you know, jig head minnow type of deal. But when you've got some pretty good stain like this, you can sneak around. Those fish, some of those fish will pull up. You got to cover a lot of water, but this wintertime, you know, typically you don't get a whole lot of bites around here in the wintertime. And just keeping your head down, you know, like this right here is a lay down. That's that's a high percentage little area. So I'm just kind of throwing up there, and that bait landed in about 3 feet of water and getting a lot of grass, but I'm just slow rolling it down the side of that laydown. The boat's sitting in 5, so it's pretty flat, you know, right out here to the right of us. You know, we've got 25, 30 feet of water, so we're not too terribly far away from deep water. But just kind of feathering this bait through the grass and around the rocks and stuff has been getting us some bites, man. It's a cool bait. I'll show you my rod tip when it's going. It really thumps. I'm throwing this on that 7'3" Virtus chatterbait rod, but look at my rods. This thing has got a really good thump to it. And you know, they've been not knocking the crap out of it, but you can definitely tell when you get a bite because of that blade. That blade just kind of stalls out, and then they're on there. I've missed several fish today, but that's what we're doing. Just poking along, enjoying life. Go. Another one. We're going to pop a big one here in a minute. So they've definitely been relating to this riprap fishing 101. Rocks hold heat better than most things. I mean, wood does too, and sometimes grass. But we're definitely getting some bites around this riprap, and that I believe is because it's holding a little bit of heat from the last couple of days. We've had some warm days, and it's definitely cooled off today, but that's what we're doing. And I've had several bites on this sucker, so we're going to keep on going with it. I love doing this, but it's very specific. You have to have some pretty good stain in the water, and ideally that water needs to be around the coldest. Like, I mean, I've caught them in 41, but that's pretty rare. But like, if it's like 44 to 47, I feel like you can get a bite on this if the water's right. We got just a little bit of a breeze, you know, partly cloudy. The sun's coming out right now, but I got here, it was really overcast, and I welcome the sun because it feels so good. But fortunate to get some bites on this. This is a fun way to catch fish in the wintertime. But like I said, it's got to be, the conditions got to be just right. There we go. There we go. How about that? It's fun, man. We get a lot of bites, actually. I mean, I've missed probably 4 or 5 fish, maybe. And that's pretty cool, man. It's doing something a little bit different. It's kind of a sneaky way to catch them. You know, one of the cool things about a lake that has grass or a lake that has a lot of docks is even when the water's in the 40s or high 30s, there's going to be fish that shallow. If you get an influx of stain after things kind of stabilize a day or two, it may be tough the first couple days to catch those fish, to find those fish because they're a little bit freaked out. But once it stabilizes, it does have a tendency to, it's conducive to a shallow water bite, even in the winter. And that's something that's really fun. I'm always looking for that. You know, we've been throwing this big spinnerbait around. It's a fun way to catch fish. You may not get a lot of bites, but it is just a blast covering water. And it's something you can do if you don't have forward-facing sonar. I mean, we've not caught a single fish looking at them today. I haven't really paid much attention to it. I've got it on just because it's always on. I use it for water temp and just kind of figuring out where the grass line is at, but we've certainly not been using it, and it's a fun break. It's you know, I did a video on a chatterbait recently. It was the same kind of scenario. The water wasn't quite this dirty, but it was cold, and it's just kind of slow power fishing, covering water, looking for specific areas, secondary points, rock, grass, that kind of mixture seemed to be the deal. But if you got a lake that's got a lot of docks and stuff, I mean, that wood is going to retain heat, and you get a couple sunny days, get a little bit of stain in the water, there's certainly going to be a bite up there. You just got to figure out what to throw and what kind of areas the fish are holding in. As far as this spinnerbait, 3/4 ounce number 7 Colorado blade, 1/2 ounce with a number 5 is a good option. You know, I could probably downsize a little bit and maybe got 1 or 2 more bites, but I'm looking for that bigger bite today. And you know, it's just a fun way to fish. I'm throwing it on, this is a 7'3" Virtus a Cura rod. It's their vibrating jig rod, buzzbait vibrating jig rod, but something that we throw you know, a chatterbait on. It's a little bit heavier spinnerbait, so you need just a slightly beefier rod, but you do want a soft tip because, you know, this rod's really sensitive. If you got a really sensitive rod and it's a little bit stiff, you're gonna pull it away from the fish because it's you know, it's just so instantaneous. So I like something that's got a little bit softer tip. I mean, it's got pretty good give, but once you get down here around the 6th or 7th eye, it starts getting, I mean, look at that. Yeah, see, you get down here in about this area and it starts loading up and it gets a little bit stiffer. I mean, we got some backbone right in there, but you got that nice soft tip. It allows those fish to suck that bait in, but you can still drive the hook home. I'm throwing it on a 15-pound test. I mean, honestly, you could throw it on 20 and then maybe it floated a little bit better, but you know, we throw our chatterbaits on 15, so that's just what we got. And this is a great way to catch fish in that stained, cold, muddy water. Dude, that fish hit right by the boat. Look at that. Spinnerbait just came up. That's gonna wrap it up, man. Hey, we stuck with it. We didn't get a whole lot of bites, but that's a good quality fish. It's peeing too. I mean, that fish was in like 2 foot of water. I was literally pulling my spinnerbait out of the water and that sucker grabbed it right off a little bitty shallow point. But good way to end the day. Give me a thumbs up and the subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And you get these right conditions, you can make something different work in the wintertime, and that's fun, man. I just love trying to catch them a different way. I mean, you know, there's gonna be a point here shortly where the only thing that's gonna work is like an A-rig, jig head minnow, and a jerkbait. But for now, this is working a little bit. That's fun, man. Till next time. That was fun, man. Right by the boat, unbelievable. That's a nice quality fish, man. Let's let her go. Look how dirty this water is. It ain't that dirty, but it's pretty stained. Get on out of here, girl. Look at that. They show off for us. That's what we like. We like when you show off. Woo, that is fun. Man, it's cold, but that makes it all worth a while.